Hello there, I'm Vigalius. How is everyone? How is your evening? Fallout! I didn't even give you time to answer the question. It just jumped out at you. The Fallout jumped out at you. Am I a fan of this series? I don't know. I really like 3. I had an amazing time with 3. New Vegas didn't really hold my attention for long enough for me to finish it. I know that's an unpopular opinion on the internet, but yeah, New Vegas didn't really grab me enough for me to finish the game. 4 I couldn't stand, and 76 I really couldn't stand. So I'm going into this, I wouldn't see as like the biggest fan of the universe. I don't know if I would be a fan. I mean, I spent a lot of time in Fallout games, but yeah, going into this, I wasn't like as invested into the world as I was with The Last of Us or with Halo. But I think with these, with video game adaptations right now, we're very hit and miss, and there's a lot of hit at the moment. It's a bit of a golden age of video game adaptations. There's a lot of it going on. And so with some of them being hit and a lot of them being, some of them being miss, I guess it's around about 50-50, if not, doing quite well at the moment. Going into the Fallout show, I was a little bit cautiously optimistic. I wasn't 100% sure what to think going into it. I guess if it was bad, I would have been okay with that. But I've got to say, this ain't bad. This ain't bad. This is pretty good. And I had a very good time with this. I really enjoyed the show. I really did. Straight off the bat, I mean, I know I've just set myself up to not really be an authority on this. As I said, I'm not the biggest fan, but I've spent a lot of time in these games, and I've got to say, I feel like they nailed the tone of this. Like, they nailed the sort of tonal balance that was required for a show like this, to where it's... Okay, you're dealing with very heavy subject matter, but it can be quite light and tongue-in-cheek, but it never feels like parody. It always, and I feel as though they did this well with the games, and they've really captured this well. It always feels as though in the show, it's not that it's parody, it's that it's trying to make light of a very dark situation. And there's like almost a desperation to do so, and also and always keep face throughout, and so you get like some lighter moments. The color palette, they very easily could have fallen for the bait of going for a very bleached out, very gritty color palette, and I feel as though if this show was made a decade or so ago, they probably would have, but they haven't here. There's some poppy colors. It can be quite bright at times. There's like murderous moments that happen during these like light-hearted operatic soundtrack moments, or like 50s soundtrack, things like that. Sometimes there is a little bit of humor here and there, and it's kind of like that sort of dark humor, kind of dark and edgy. No, it's not that style of humor. It's not Twitter in 2024 humor. It's again, making light of a dark, bringing brevity to a situation that is quite dark, and like someone being ripped apart or something like that. There's a lot of that going on. The world building is absolutely fantastic. It's a beautiful, beautiful world, and I was hooked straight away on the world and on the characters too. Another thing that really stuck out to me, actually, that I really liked about this was the pacing, which I didn't expect to be saying about this. I feel as though they really could have dropped the ball with the pacing, but they did it in a way that I actually really did enjoy, in terms of like spending time with these characters and how they do it. We have like introductions, which we're introduced to the 4 corners of the wasteland in different varying ways, and then we get the vault section. The bombs actually going off, I thought was dealt with absolutely excellently, really well. And then we get the vault time, and I felt as though I was beginning to worry, like, are they going to just spend a bunch of time in the vault and then finally let us leave for the wasteland? And they didn't do that. You got a little bit of time with the vault, and actually we're continuing time with the vault going forward throughout the show. But yeah, the character who is, I'm trying to do this in a way that is as spoiler-free as possible, but the character who leaves the vault leaves in good time and enters the wasteland in good time. But again, we are still sort of connected to the vault, and what a wasteland. It's really well presented. It's very barren. They did a great job of clearing things out, but one thing that I think is really good about this, that I think, again, they captured very well from the games, and it makes an excellent adaptation, is these little little pockets of like weirdos who are making do and who have lived through this apocalyptic like wasteland scenario for so long that of course it's made them crazy, you know, and there are characters who like have a few screws loose and they picked up clothing that they just found on the floor, but at the same time that character knows more about the wasteland than you, and I think that that's been captured tremendously well in this show. But yeah, these little pockets of people making do and surviving that you experience a lot of in Fallout, in the best Fallout moments, and they're here, and I think they captured some of the zones from the Fallout games tremendously well as well. There's like a sort of supermarket area in this show that it completely screams Fallout 3 / New Vegas locations, and the characters in there are funny, and you kind of want them to be, you know, they're funny in the right way. They're kind of like sluggish and slobbish in a situation where they really shouldn't be, and it's stuff like that that really, I think, adds character to the show, and I think it has a lot of it, and it would have to. It of course would have to have a lot of character. I think it does. I think they nailed that. I think that would have been one of the most important aspects, and that's definitely here. My only complaint with the show is that despite the world being great and the world building being great, I do feel as though it feels a little bit too narrow and closed in at times, and this is due to the fact that, and I don't know why it's written this way, characters will just like pop up in front of other characters that you're following. They'll just appear without any sort of like journey, any footage of the journey, any like thing showing that the journey was difficult or long in any way. They just pop up and just appear and are there, and it kind of makes the world feel a little bit small. That twin with the fact that we spend most of our time with just a few characters. In a lot of shows like this, you'll have like 3 different groups of characters, and they'll be like converging and they'll move in as the series goes on, and that doesn't really happen here. They're just like, oh, this guy that I met yesterday and I just bumped into him again, you know. I don't really want to get too into it, but that does make it feel a little bit closed in. That would be my only complaint with the show. Other than that, it's a complete blast. It's a lot of fun from start to finish. It's a great story, great characters, good performances, and I would definitely recommend it, even if you're not a fan of the Fallout universe. It's just a great show. So yeah, I liked it a lot, and I'll see everyone later.
The PlayStation's only $149, and you can also get leading titles.